This is Lori Rubin. I'm with ViewBug, and I've got Jordan Matter here with me today. And he's going to be talking about this genre of photography that's absolutely beautiful. It's called Dancers Among Us, and he does such beautiful work. We're going to show you his website. Jordan's going to talk a little bit about himself, and then he's going to go through, and this is really exciting because he's actually going to show you some images along with critiquing some of the runner-ups, and then we'll review the People's Choice and then also the grand jury winner. So we're really excited about this. Jordan, thanks for joining us today.
You're welcome. Thanks for having me.
For our grand jury winner today, they're going to get the newer 250W Studio Flash Strobe Modeling Light, an exclusive blog feature with ViewBug, and 350 reward points. And for the viewer's choice, they're also going to get a newer 32-inch 80cm portable 5-in-1 translucent silver, gold, white, and black collapsible round multi-disc light reflector. So that's really exciting. Let's go ahead and talk a little bit about Jordan. Now, he's a fantastic photographer, very emotion-packed, very dramatic images. I love his images. I'm really excited to hear what he has to say about some of the runner-ups, and also he's going to talk about his own photography as well. So Jordan, tell us a little bit about you, your background, and what makes you passionate about photography.
Well, you know, it was about 15 years ago. I was on the top of a mountain and I took out an Instamatic camera in the days of black and white film, and I tried to take a photograph of the landscape. And I realized in that moment I didn't know how to take that photo. So on the way down the mountain on my bike, I decided to take a photography course. And that was the beginning. The second I saw my first print come up in the developer, it was like a hallelujah moment. I knew right away I had to do that for the rest of my life. And I've pretty much been doing it ever since. And anything that involves a person, I have shot. I shoot portraiture, I shoot models, and obviously I shoot dancers a lot. And this latest body of work, Dancers Among Us, came to me about 5 years ago when I was watching my son play with his toy bus. And what I saw was an enthusiasm and a passion for his fantasy and for the small moments of the everyday that we lose as we get older. And I decided I would do a photography project that basically showed the world as if through the eyes of a child, and showed us all that we can really celebrate these small everyday moments of life. And if we stitch enough of those together, it'll be a really fulfilling time we have here on earth. So that's what I tried to do, and I decided to have dancers show how glorious and beautiful the everyday can be.
Oh, it's fantastic. And you certainly do. Your images they're amazing. So we're going to take a look at some of these now. Okay, Jordan, so let's go ahead and get started here. We're going to start out by showing one of your images here, the wow factor. So tell us about this. It's absolutely incredible. Tell us a little bit of background on this one and why it's the wow factor.
Sure. Well, I think that there's several different elements I'm looking for when I'm composing an image, and I'll be talking about those today. The first one is the wow factor, finding something that the dancer can do that is so extraordinary that it makes your mouth hang open. In this case, what happened here with this woman, her name is Michaela de Prince, and she's quite a famous dancer, and I only had about an hour or two with her. When I was on my way to meet her, I saw this road, and I decided I wanted to have her backpacking across the country, and that would be the scenario. So we were setting up the shop, but just as we were getting started, a car slowed down to pass us because we were in the middle of the street, and this dog stuck its head out of the window. And so I immediately chased the car down to borrow the dog. And I took the dog out and tried to get him to sit still while Michaela kept trying to hit this pose. Now, one thing for you all to know as you look at all of these photos of mine is nothing is retouched. I really everything is in the camera, so if you see it, it happens. So I didn't take a photo of the dog and then take a photo of her and then take a photo of the backpack. It all happened in the same moment. It took about 200 jumps for her to get it before we could get the dog sitting still with her leg up and her head on her fist, but it all worked out eventually. It was really exciting and one of the more challenging shots I've taken.
I love this. There's so much to look at here where she's in action and the dog just sitting there with the backpack. That is a wow image if I ever saw one.
And you know, there's subtlety. This is the one Dancers Among Us image that hangs in my studio, and there's some subtleties that you get used to after you've looked at it for a while. For example, the curve of her toe with the curve of the road, and the way her other toe connects to the tree above it. Really gorgeous moment and very exciting to get. And one of the hardest things about this was keeping her face so still, as if it's nonchalant and nothing, while the dog also mimicked that same expression.
Love it. Yeah, this is great. Okay, Jordan, we're going to take a look at one of your picks and tell us why this is a wow image for you.
Well, this is a wow image because I think the photographer captured this beautifully in the moment it needed to be captured. I mean, you see her heel resting on her forehead. The shutter speed is high enough that you see no blur of anything, so it really just does look like she's just sitting there. Her hair isn't even really moving. And I love the environment around her and how she's placed in the center of it, and how her toe kind of mimics the arc of of the wall behind her and the window. So I thought this was wow because as I was looking through all the pictures, this was the pose that really struck me and made me go, "Oh my God, that's gorgeous!"
Yeah, I love that circular, movement of her, kind of
And
circular
with,
in the
with the
background.
arch, yeah.
Yeah, beautiful. Okay, and humor, which this cracked me up when I saw it. So tell us what happened here.
Well, this is the second element that I'm always looking for. Either wow or humor, something to make you smile. I had this idea of singing in the shower, and I called this dancer whose name is Matt Oakes, and I said, "Would you be able to do this for me?" And he went out and bought a sticky mat that he put on the bottom of the tub, and then we did this shot until my camera steamed up so much that it was no longer functional.
Wow.
And you're gonna get a good shot when you're laughing while you're taking it.
Yes, that's great. Well, this is a great, great shot. Okay, and this one is humor for you. The world for you, darling.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, this is whimsical. It's playful. Like I said, I don't do Photoshop, and I don't know how much of this is Photoshopped. You never can tell. If it's not, that's a pretty great capture of the money. But I just thought it was just a playful fun. Once again, love the light and love the environment behind them, and love that they're placed in between the two windows. And I don't know exactly what the story is, but it makes me smile.
Yes, that's great. Okay, and this one is called Beauty.
Yes. So, like I said, when I'm walking around, usually the way this process works is I never have a plan. Everything is serendipity. I completely rely on spontaneity to come up with ideas and shots. And as a result, there's a lot of time spent walking or driving around looking for something that piques my interest. And so each of these elements I'm talking about are different things I'm looking for, either a wow factor or some sort of playful, funny scenario, or in this case, just flat out beauty. Like if I find something that is beautiful enough, I don't feel like I even need to doctor it up with any sort of scenario. And this was one of those cases where the sun was setting. Of course, it said no trespassing, so we immediately climbed over the sign. Because one of the quotes I love more than anything is, "It's better to ask forgiveness than permission."
Yes.
Because anytime you ask for permission, people always say no. So we just climbed onto this dock as the sun was setting and rushed to get it silhouetted, and she just kept jumping until she nailed it right in the middle like that.
That's great. And Jordan, the fact that you get this all in camera is fantastic.
Well, there's a real cynicism, I think, to photography lately where people just don't trust photographs, and they don't know if they're real or they're photoshopped. I'm not saying that photoshopping isn't an art form. It very much is, but it's its own separate art form. And what I like to do is to show, you actually can take pretty exciting photographs in the camera, and if the subject is exciting enough and the environment and the light are all exciting enough, it can be dynamic. You don't have to do anything more than that.
Yeah, great, wonderful image. Okay, this is Leap, and tell us about this one.
Well, this is a very similar example of if you have beauty, you don't need anything else. And I found this to possibly be the most just visually stunning image of all of the selections I saw. I mean, the color of the trees, the light, the early day or late afternoon light, not to mention the absolute perfection of the dancer's positioning. And the color of her hair that's matching the color of the trees, and the narrow focus. I just found it to be very compelling, and so I didn't think you needed anything more. I love the pose, and I love her, and I love the environment. Yeah. And one thing for photographers out there, when you're photographing subjects or dancers, that's important. It's really important to try and put the dancer in negative space. And as you see, most of the dancer's body and her leg is in the white of the negative space. And a lot of times I see people put the dancer in the street or in front of a building or in front of a tree, and then the dancer gets lost as a result.
That's a very good tip. Yeah, that's great. And this is a great example of that. Wonderful.
Yeah, really stunning. I love it.
Here's one of yours called Danger, and this looks pretty scary. She's way up there.
She's way up there, and it's very scary. And I have taken some shots where my heart was pounding. There was one shot, I took a similar shot of a man on a fire escape, and he said to me, if I fall, because we were 6 stories up, he said, if I fall, scream to me that you got the shot before I hit the ground.
Oh, no.
The dancers are crazy, and I'm crazy, so together we do some pretty exciting, but pretty definitely terrifying stuff, and this was one of them.
Yeah, of pictures like this, you have to stop for a moment and really look at it.
Yeah, and you have to see the length of that fall, and you know, and
Yes.
the other side is not that much better. So it was a really terrifying shot to get, but it was exciting to do.
Yeah. Okay, here's one called Dancing into the Sunset.
So this has that same danger element, not the same extreme. We're not talking about death here, but you know, there's some question marks. Like, how did she get there? Once again, I'm always just assuming that these shots are real. The benefit of the doubt is that they're real and not Photoshop. So how did she get there? How is she balancing on point right there? And how does she stay on point even after, you know, after the shot is taken? And once again, the silhouette I love, and I love the fact that she's in the white space, but yet, you know, you see her toe in the white of the water, and then you see her body in the white of the sky. And of course, the extension and positioning is beautiful in that arabesque. So I found this to be a really beautiful photo as well. I like the fact that they chose to make this in black and white too.
Yeah, definitely. A really beautiful composition, and even that kind of vignetting over on the right-hand side kind of balances a little bit. So
Uh-huh.
really nice. Okay, and here's one of yours, and this is about lighting or light.
Yeah. That's also a major element I'm looking for is, you know, let's just find the compelling light, because that, you know, the light can make all the difference in the mood of a photograph. Here, dancer's name is Alex Wong, very famous dancer from So You Think You Can Dance. And I was walking to his apartment in Greenwich Village in Manhattan, and as I was walking there, it had just finished raining, and I saw this location, this alleyway. So I decided to bring him out there and shoot this because of the light, very specifically. And then we decided to do a shot called, you know, Garbage Night, in which case he just kept throwing garbage over and over. And of course, the blue of the garbage bags matches the sky and also the light on the right. So it kind of has this pyramid effect where there's blue all around and then the halo of light right in the center, and his hand kind of illuminated by that light. So when you find very dramatic light, definitely find a photograph to take in that light.
Yeah, this is great. You know, it's really interesting. The first time I saw this, I didn't notice the people behind the garbage bag. So there's
Uh-huh.
these little storytelling elements, you know, through here. So I'm really looking around, and it's very interesting. A lot of good
Yeah.
action too. Very nice. Okay, and here's one by contestants. And let us know what you think about this as far as light.
Well, once again, I mean, I was drawn to this because of the light. That's the thing that grabbed me. But what I really like about this image is not did they just use the light, but then they gave us a really interesting composition. I mean, this is fascinating. I don't think I've ever taken a shot with this composition before. This is an arabesque shot from behind. You always see arabesques shot from the side. And you know, so you got the light basically surrounding her, and then you got the vignetting around her, and it has this late afternoon feel. I love the shadow, but I really love the perspective as well, and I love the way the light is outlining her arms and her leg, kind of just really bringing focus to the beauty of her positioning. Now, one thing I would have, I mean, you know, there's always these things. You go back on your photos, you look, oh man, I should have done this, right? It would have been nice to see this shot with her hair fully up, because I would have liked to see that light continue on her shoulders and see what her back was doing in this. That would be my only comment, just, you know, of what I would have liked to see. Inevitably, we might have ended up liking this better, but I would have liked to see that option.
Yeah, that's a great tip. Okay. And here's one of yours called Location.
Location, well, as you can tell by now, I really like to tell stories with my photos. And when you find the right location, a story comes together pretty easily. You know, you want your story to be compelling, visually interesting. In a way, you want to find a location as if I took a picture of just this spot but didn't have anybody in it, would it still be a beautiful photo? And of course, this spot is that thing. You know, the rain is on its way in, the sky is deep and rich, and you have the white sand contrasting it. And the story was pretty easy because when we got there were all these seagulls. So I realized pretty quickly that the dancers should be feeding the seagulls, and then we came up with this pose. Another note for dance photographers, always recommend that your dancers wear bright clothing. Usually darker clothes, what dancers tend to wear, but they always disappear into the background, whereas a red or yellow or, you know, green dress will almost pop in anything.
That's great. You know, this one really caught my eye as well. It looks like he's almost, lifting her up like a seagull, let her fly or something. So,
Yeah, no, and the way her hair is flying, flying in the wind, and a storm was on its way, and about 10 minutes later, we got hit with a downpour.
oh boy.
And when this picture is blown up large, in a lot of exhibitions, this is one of the ones selected. It's pretty great because you can see the relationship and the competition between the seagulls.
Yeah.
There's a lot of bickering going on there that you can't really see until it's blown up large.
That's great. Lovely photo. And this is called Ocean Princess.
Yes, once again, no idea how much of this is real versus a composite shot, but I do love the mood of it. I obviously think that would be a beautiful photograph, whether or not she was there, just the light on the ocean. But then once again, I also think it's an interesting angle for that pose. You almost always see dance shot from the side. And to get the profile of it. But when people mix it up like this, like shooting straight directly in front or directly from behind or directly above, and mix it up, it's really interesting. I like the way this seagull is interacting with the dancer as well, and the way she's wearing all white, which mimics the dancers and the clouds behind her.
Yeah, this is nice. And kind of like the blurring effect too of the seagulls. It gives you that perspective and a lot of movement.
You get a movement sense, and that is what happens because I've shot with birds a lot. That even though you've got a fast shutter speed, when they're coming at you that fast, they do blur like that.
Yeah, that's great. Okay, let's talk about mood. I love this. This is just a delightful image. Love it. Was it a holiday shot specifically?
Yeah, very specifically, I went to Philadelphia to shoot Pennsylvania Ballet for an exhibition, and it was right around the holidays. And somebody mentioned that near their home there was a street where there was a lot of lights. And when we got there, I started knocking on doors to try and find a wreath. And then I borrowed a passersby scarf. And so this was not a planned shot. But then once we got everything, the light was going pretty quickly, and he came up with this amazing pose. And of course, he has this youthful exuberance anyway as a person. And it just all reads beautifully. It's one of my favorite shots.
Absolutely love this. It's delightful.
And the thing that I love about this is, I mean, like you see it and you immediately feel a mood. I mean, of course, many of us associate holidays with a joyful time, and then it seems to me like he, as a human being, is in a very joyful moment in terms of celebrating this pose and life and everything. So all of it is joyful, and that's what I love about certain images. If you can just capture a mood where the second somebody looks at it, they have a strong emotional reaction before their thoughts even take place, is really an effective image in my mind.
Yeah, Jordan, you nailed this one. I love it.
Thanks.
It's great. And here's one very dramatic called Begin.
Yes, also very strong mood. Now, I felt like it was necessary to pull out a studio shot here because there were so many really beautiful studio shots that were submitted in this contest, and I don't do studio photography, so most of the selections I made were more environmental because that's more similar to what I do. But I was really, really taken with this image. I mean, because it could be a studio, it could be a stage, it could be, just somebody's home. I don't even know how that lighting effect is achieved, whether or not that's dust or something in the light, but I immediately looked at that and I felt a very strong mood as a result. As a matter of fact, I could have easily picked this as the winner, except that I felt really strongly that I needed to pick an environmental shot because it was a Dancers Among Us contest. Otherwise, I may have picked this just because I could look at this over and over and over and still have more, just wonder more and more. And what I love so much about it is how little the photographer gave us. We don't see much of the body positioning. All the rules I put that I said before went right out the window. She's wearing all black. You can't see her arms, can't see her back. You can barely see her legs, and yet together it works.
Yeah, it's lovely. Very nice.
Sometimes rules are just made to be broken.
That's right. Okay, let's talk about color. And this is actually a preview right before we show the People's Choice. So this is your beautiful image. What is it about color that intrigues you?
Well, I mean, once again, you want something to pop, right? I mean, you have, just a millisecond with a viewer to get to resonate, to get a reaction of some sort. And color, when it's vibrant, and in Miami, which is where this was taken, color is vibrant, and in Miami, people party, and this is the life. And so it was capturing a whimsical kind of like look at Miami nightlife. in a way actually mimicking reality, because we were all out doing that very thing while I was taking this picture. With that very bottle of vodka, and then we just decided to kind of document our experience in Miami at the moment and take this photo. But it was all about the color for me. It was about the way the color of the vodka popped against the tree, her dress, of course, the color around her. And I think that's what stops you. Before you even see what the story is, you kind of get a sense of lots of color and lots of vibrancy.
Yeah, delightful. Very nice. Okay, so this is the People's Choice, called Street Ballerina.
I think that the reason why this was selected, because there are just, what, thousands of submissions, and why this one was selected was probably because of the beautiful use of the color here. I mean, it just gives you such a sense of, I don't know, there's the richness of the red and the blue, and then the color of her dress all come together. Of course, the pose is beautiful. But I really think that this would be a dynamic photo even without a dancer in it because of the color of those walls. And I think that that's probably why it was so popular with your viewers.
Yeah, I think you got it.
I mean, I do, of course, love like the thing like where her bottom leg mimics the line of the pipe in the red. I mean, I like elements like that. I like the compositional element where she's not in the center and the line is in the center. It's really beautiful.
Yeah, it sure is. And well, congratulations to the People's Choice winner. Okay, so before we reveal your grand jury winner, this is one of your storytelling images.
Well, you know, what I've been saying here is that pretty much everything for me is storytelling, and that's what I really try to do. Whenever I'm looking for a Dances Among Us photo, what's the story? And I want people to wonder. I don't want to make it so obvious. Like, what has exactly happened here? You know, I mean, is this a first date? Did they just meet on the street? Are they lovers? Are they boyfriend, girlfriend? Are they married? Why is it so urgent right now? I mean, so this was all telling a story in a way that has a little bit of a wink and keeps something secret as well. But it made me think, this image, and that's what I was always trying to do with every image I took, and that's why I ended with this.
Yeah, that's great. And I love images like this that really make you really want to investigate more into the image and what's happening.
And you know, you can just sit and look at pictures and your mind can wander, and you can wonder. There's so many different scenarios, so many different reasons this may have happened like this.
Absolutely. Okay, we're going to go ahead and reveal the grand jury winner. And congratulations to Black Joan Photos, or John Photos, Spanish Harlem. So tell us why you selected this one. Out of all the images you had to select from, why was it this one that really got your attention?
Well, I have to tell you, you know, there have been lots of Dancers Among Us photo contests over the last few years, and this has just been an incredible one to witness because there's so many great, very professional photographs that it was really hard to make a final selection. The reason why I selected this is what I just said. This was the closest to a Dancers Among Us image that I found. This had the most amount of story and the most amount of curiosity and mystery of anything. I just love the dynamic between the two of them. Absolutely love the smoke and the soft focus of the shot, the black and white even, and the story between the two of them, and their positioning together really looks connected, and it looks very sexy, and it looks like this could be a story, and there's a number of different ways that story could go.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think this really encompasses everything that you were talking about, except for color, which sometimes the lack of color is just as powerful or more so.
Yeah, well, I mean, I shoot a lot with black and white. I have a new project called Dancers After Dark that's almost all black and white, and that's going to be my next book. I love black and white. With Dancers Among Us, I love the color, but I think this shot in color would have been pretty spectacular too. I think it's more about the subtlety of the story and the energy between the two of them. I love how he's wearing a wedding ring and she is not. That throws me into a whole tizzy of questions about this story. And it's just like there's just so much going on here. I love the compositional element, love the expression on his face. It's a really fantastic photo, so congratulations to this photographer.
Yes, and congratulations to everyone. I mean, these have been just absolutely fantastic images. And I want to say special thanks to you, Jordan. Your images are just incredible as well. Just love them. So this has been a really great, I hope, an educational experience with some tips that you can take into your own images. But thank you so much for doing this with us, Jordan.
You're welcome. Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much, everyone. Bye-bye.
All right. Bye-bye.